dear students, today we shall discuss an important chapter, kinds of sentences, namely simple, complex and compound. Now this is a question in your grammar section and it carries 2 marks, transformation from one type to another or combining 2 independent sentences either into the simple form or the complex form or the compound form. So this is not a very difficult chapter as you would think. So we just follow the rules, understand the concept, understand the way in which the sentences are to be transformed, and very easily you can master the techniques and you can score full marks. Now let us discuss this topic in detail, namely simple, complex and compound. Now a simple sentence, I will just give you a sentence, try to understand the structure. Now Ram likes reading. So when you look at the sentence, you find that this is the finite verb. Now under verbs we have got finite and non-finite. Under the non-finite category you get gerunds, infinitives and participles. Now when I say gerunds, it is nothing but a verbal noun. So what do you mean by a verbal noun? A verb that functions as a noun. Now infinitives, they are of 2 types. The to infinitive and the bare infinitive. Now participles, again you got present participle and past participle. So under present it is again verb plus ing, but what is the difference between this and this? Gerund also is of the form verb plus ing. The only difference is that in a gerund the verb functions as a noun. Here this is an adjective. So here again verb plus ing functions as an adjective, and of course past participle, it ends with en, ed, t, etc. So now we shall analyze this in detail. So I am not going to go very deep into it because right from 6th standard onwards you have been learning all this. I will just brush up your memory and I will give you some examples. Now why do I talk about non-finite and finite verbs? A simple sentence can have these non-finite verbs and phrases. Now finite, what is the difference here? Look at this sentence, Ram likes reading. Suppose I change the subject here, I write I choose the subject I. So here what have I done to the verb? Instead of likes I have written like. So here the verb depends upon the person and the number of the subject. Suppose I say they, again I would say they like reading. Now look at the difference here, Ram likes reading, singular, and here third person. Now here when I use I say I like reading, and when I use the plural form I say they like reading. So this verb which depends upon the person and the number of the subject, it is finite, it is definite, it is restricted to the number and person of the subject. So such verbs are called finite verbs. So is this clear to you? Finite verbs. Now what do I mean by non-finite? Now just consider this part, reading. Now verb plus ing, it is always a fragment, it is a participle. Now when I say reading, of course here the function differs, it is part of something, so it is a fragment, so it is a participle, but it takes different roles like gerunds and present participle or past participle. Now when I say Ram likes reading, now I will give you one more example here. Just remember this, under non-finite verbs we got gerunds, infinitives, participles. What are gerunds? Verbal noun. Gerunds are nothing but verbal nouns, and the structure is verb plus ing. Under the infinitives category we have got to plus verb, which is called the to infinitive, and the other part is called the bare infinitive. I will give you examples and explain. Under participles we have got the present participle and the past participle. Now a brief revision of non-finite verbs here. These sentences, suppose I write them in this form. Children like reading. Now what happens here? Ram likes to read. Look at this part. So whatever be the subject here, if it is they like to read. Children like reading. So these forms, this to plus verb and this ing form. Now these are not at all altered. They do not depend upon the number and person of the subject. So these are called non-finite verbs. They are not finite. They are not restricted by the person or the number of the subject. So that is the main difference you have got to remember. Now let us analyze this in detail once again. Now why do I talk about a simple sentence? A simple sentence contains only one finite verb. So this is one point you have to remember. Now speaking of gerunds, I will give you a few sentences. Cycling is my hobby. Sheila enjoys reading. My son's favorite activity is playing. The thief was arrested for smuggling. Now in all these cases you will be able to identify the finite verb and the non-finite verb, namely gerunds. Now cycling is my hobby. So something is my hobby. So this is the subject I am talking about. So this verb plus ing, this is a noun, something is my hobby, I have replaced it with cycling. So this is a gerund. Here it acts as the subject of the sentence. Sheila enjoys reading. Sheila enjoys what? Reading. Again verb plus ing, this is your gerund, this functions as a noun here. So this acts as the object. My son's favorite activity is playing. So here it is the subject complement. Again playing, this is the gerund here. It is a verbal noun, a verb functioning as a noun. So this is the subject complement. The thief was arrested for what? For smuggling. So here again smuggling is the gerund, and here this is the object of the preposition. So you see that the gerund can be used in different ways. So make a note of this, because in a simple sentence gerunds are included. Now when I talk about infinitives, look at this sentence. You know this proverb, to err is human, to forgive is divine. Now err, that is making mistakes. So this is a verb, to plus verb, so this becomes an infinitive. Similarly forgive is your verb, to plus forgive, this is again an infinitive, and as you can see is your finite verb. All children like to play games. So again this to play, okay. All children like to play games. So like is your finite verb and to play is your infinitive. So all the circle ones are finite verbs. So here this is to plus verb. Now what about your bare infinitive? Now bare infinitives, they occur after certain verbs. For example, make, let, bid, see, hear, okay, watch, observe, notice, and so on. I will give you examples. Now look at this verb make. My mother made the servant do the work. So, mind you will get this under error spotting also. You should never say my mother made the servant to do the work. In the active voice always after made, whenever you use the verb made, before this infinitival form you will not get to. My mother made the servant. I told you I am circling the finite verbs. This is the bare infinitive. What do you mean by bare infinitive? Without. Infinitive without to. So, my mother made the servant do the work. Now, look at this let. How will you use it in a sentence? Please let me go. So, here again let is your finite verb and go is your bare infinitive. Again beware of these types of sentences under your error spotting. Suppose they give you the words allow or permit, then it would be please allow me or permit me to go. So, there you get to, but when you use let you will never get to. So, please allow me or permit me to go. So, mind you, you will get this question under error spotting. Now, bid. The captain bid his men march forward. So, you need not say to march forward. So, bid is your finite verb and march is your bare infinitive. Similarly, see, we saw the accident happen. So, here saw is your finite verb and happen is your bare infinitive. So, in this manner you get sentences. So, please make a note of these. Bare infinitives occur after certain verbs like the ones I have mentioned here. So, bear this in mind for your simple sentence too. The child wanted a talking doll. Okay. Now, the child wanted a talking doll. What kind of doll? Talking doll. So, this is your present participle. Verb plus ing, here it makes it a present participle. Now, suppose I say the boy removed the broken glass. What kind of glass? Broken glass. So, as you know, break, broke, broken, this is the past participle. So, these are examples of participles. Here they function as adjectives. Now, mind you, why did I make a mention of all these? In your simple sentence you will get gerunds, infinitives and participles. So, I given you a sample of these. Now, let us move further into the simple sentence. Now, you can include phrases also. I told you only one finite verb. So, phrases are included in the simple sentence. Now, how do you identify the simple sentence? There are some clues. I will just give you a few. Besides, on account of, in the event of, these are phrases here. On account of, in the event of, in case of, in spite of, these are phrases. In spite of. Then you got on plus verb plus ing. Similarly, after plus verb plus ing. So, all these forms you got more of these type. I have just mentioned a few. Then you got the structure to. Okay. Now, let us consider some sentences bearing all these. Now, when I say besides singing, Sheila can also dance. Now, when you look at this sentence, you should be able to identify the finite verb. Now, besides singing, I told you verb plus ing. Now, mind you, here you have to have it very clear in your mind. Suppose I say the girl was singing. So, here you can easily make out that was singing is the finite verb, but in this case it is not so. You got sing plus ing. So, besides singing, Sheila can also dance. Now, look at this part carefully, can dance. Dance is your main verb, can is the auxiliary, together they form a unit. So, can dance is your finite verb. Did you get my point? So, this shows her ability to dance. So, can dance is the finite verb. So, this sentence has only one finite verb. So, it is a simple sentence. Now, consider this: on account of an illness, he applied for leave. So, I told you this is a phrase. So, which is your finite verb? Applied. On account of an illness, he applied for leave. Now, in the event of, now remember, a simple sentence can be quite lengthy. So, I am going to give you a lengthy sentence. In the event of you were not paying the fee, you cannot sit for the examination. That is, you cannot appear for the examination. That is the meaning here. Now, look at this carefully. In the event of is your phrase. Now, not paying the fee. So, this is verb plus ing. It becomes non-finite. Not is for negative. Look at this part. Cannot sit. This is your finite verb. You cannot sit for the examination. So, even though this sentence is a bit lengthy, it is still a simple sentence. Now, consider this sentence: in case of any doubt, contact me. So, this is your phrase, contact is your finite verb. Okay. Then, in spite of his arriving late. Again, I will give you a lengthy sentence. He managed to finish early. So, in spite of phrase, arriving, verb plus ing, non-finite. Then to finish, to plus verb, which is a to infinitive, non-finite again. So, managed is your finite verb. Then look at the structure, to and to. The usual sentence: the coffee is too hot to drink. So, is your finite verb. To plus verb, this becomes a to infinitive. So, these are some examples of simple sentences. So, I hope you understood the structure thoroughly. This is essential for transformation. Now, we move on to the complex sentence. Now, when I talk about your complex sentence, your textbook gives you a very clear example of phrases and clauses. So, phrases and clauses are important when you learn the structure of a complex sentence. Now, a complex sentence, it contains only one main clause. It can have any number of subordinate clauses. Now, what do I mean by clause? Now, clause is a group of words with a finite verb in it. It may or may not make complete sense. If it makes complete sense, it becomes the main clause. If it does not give you complete sense, it is the subordinate clause. Now, in the simple, we discussed phrases. What is a phrase? A group of words without a finite verb in it, and it does not give you complete sense. For example, if I stop with in spite of, you do not get complete meaning. So, here complex sentence, once again I tell you, it contains only one main clause and any number of subordinate clauses. Now, what do you mean by main clause? Now, look at the sentence. The boy who is standing at the gate is my brother. Now, in this sentence, first, whenever you get the sentence, any sentence, you please identify the number of finite verbs. So, that will indicate the number of clauses the sentence contains. Now, in this sentence, you can see that you get a finite verb here, is standing, and another finite verb here, is. So, there are two clauses here. Now, how do you identify the clauses? Now, this is called the clause marker. This word who, I will give you some clues. So, here who is a clause marker. So, look at the part that follows the clause marker. Who is standing at the gate. So, up to this you get one connectivity. Who is standing at the gate? Now mind you, I say this is incomplete because this forms a part of the sentence. Now look at this sentence. This is an independent sentence by itself. I only tell you this, who is standing at the gate? I ask you this question. So here is standing finite verb. Who is standing at the gate? It is an independent sentence. It is a simple sentence, of course. This is totally different from this one. Here this occurs as a part of the sentence. So if you just separate out this part alone, this section alone, who is standing at the gate? Incomplete. What do we know about that person? Someone who is standing at the gate, it is incomplete. So who is standing at the gate here is your subordinate clause. Now look at this part. The boy is my brother. Doesn't it give you sense? The boy is my brother. It gives you complete sense. So that is called the main clause. I will write it out separately so that you can identify it. The boy is my brother. Main clause. Who is standing at the gate? Subordinate clause. Now I think you have understood the difference. The section or the clause that cannot stand on its own, that depends upon the main clause for its meaning to be completed, is called the subordinate clause. The clause which gives you complete meaning independently is called the main clause. So the structure of a complex sentence, only one main clause and any number of subordinate clauses. Now let us discuss this in detail. Now here are some words which act as clause markers. Now these indicate the beginning of the subordinate clause. So I call it clues or clause markers. Here are some words, all your WH forms: when, where, why, how, what, that, who, whom, as, if, whenever, whatever, however, wherever, after, so that, so, three dots, that, etc. and these structures. So I will give you a few examples. Now look at the first one. I will consider this word when. So I want to know when the bus will arrive. Okay. Now look at this. What did I tell you? Immediately find out the number of finite verbs. Now here 2 plus verb, 2 infinitive. So want is one finite verb. Then will arrive, auxiliary plus main verb, together they form a unit. So that is another finite verb. You got 2 clauses. Which is the clause marker? When. Now look at the words that follow the clause marker: when the bus will arrive. So this happens to be your subordinate clause. I want to know something. I want to know. Tell me. I want to know. I know. I do not know. All these, they give you complete meaning on their own independently. So that is your main clause. Now look at this word that. He knows that I am innocent. He knows something. What is it? That I am innocent. So knows is one finite verb, am is another finite verb, that is your clause marker. So along with this, that I am innocent, this is your subordinate clause. He knows it, he knows. He doesn't know, he knows. So this is your main clause. Now never make the mistake of picking out this part alone and calling it the main clause. I am innocent, main clause. That is not right, because these words follow the clause marker. So don't separate the clause marker and the words that follow the clause marker. Now consider this word how. My brother taught me how I could solve the problem. So follow the tips. Look at the finite verbs. Taught is one finite verb, could solve is another finite verb. So it is certain that there are 2 clauses, clause marker how So what follows how? I could solve the problem. These words follow how. So this is your subordinate clause. My brother taught me. My brother spoke to me. My brother taught me. My brother met me. So all these are independent clauses which give complete meaning on their own. So that is your main clause. Now don't think that the subordinate clause will always occur only in the second position. It could occur at the beginning also. For example, if I consider this word as he was not well, he stayed at home. Now was not well, was not, this is your finite verb. Stayed, this is another finite verb. Which is your clause marker? As. So what are the words that follow this? As he was not well. So this is your subordinate clause. He stayed at home gives you complete sense, that is your main clause. Now I will consider any one word from here, wherever. Look at this word, wherever. My shadow follows me wherever I go. So here follows one finite verb, go another finite verb, clause marker wherever. So wherever I go, incomplete. So this is your subordinate clause. My shadow follows me gives you complete sense. So that is your main clause. So this is how you analyze it. I will discuss some more clues here. Now having simple, complex, and I have also given you examples of each type of sentence. So please revise and go through them carefully. Your textbook also contains lots of examples. So apply these rules what you have learned today and see how these conform to the rules, how the given sentences conform to the rules. So next time when I give you a set of sentences, you should be able to identify what a simple sentence is, what a complex sentence is, and what a compound sentence is. And you must be able to find out why they are so, why they are classified as simple, complex or compound. So having done all these in detail, we shall move on to transformation of sentences in the next episode. So until then, please revise these, understand the structure and keep practicing a lot. You can even take any paragraph from your textbook or from the newspaper and try to find out what type of sentence each sentence is. So it's like a playway method, a game for you. So whenever you find some spare time, simply take any book or magazine or any such matter that contains these type of sentences and keep reading and classify the sentences accordingly. That would be a very good exercise and it would also tell you whether you understood the structure thoroughly. Thank you, students.